This is what my garage used to look like. And with the blessing of my loving, beautiful wife, this is what it looks like now. I'm gonna go over the entire build, what simulator I chose, what everything costs, and I made a handful of mistakes I'm gonna share with you guys, so hopefully you avoid those if you build your own sim. The simulator I decided to put in my house is the Galaxy by OptiShot. Let me show you. This comes in a full package. So you get the overhead launch monitor, a 4K projector, you get this entire enclosure and the impact screen, and this hitting mat. This entire package starts at 10 grand. When I first thought of OptiShot, all I could remember was that small little simulator. It was like 500 bucks. It was a piece of turf, a ball, and a tee, and probably wasn't something that I would use. Now that I've looked into it, done some more research, they're really changing their image. Now they're becoming like a legitimate simulator company. And the fact that you get all of this at a package that starts at 10 grand, I found it to be not only affordable, but it seems to be pretty good value. The enclosure that I fit in here is 8 feet tall by 13 feet wide. If you do get the full package from OptiShot, there's different dimensions that you can get depending on the size and space that you have. The smallest one is about 8 by 8, and then this is the widest at 13 feet. My entire package for the launch monitor, the projector, the bigger mat, and the bigger enclosure comes out to 12,400 bucks. I did reach out to OptiShot and they've agreed to give this golf community an additional 5% off. They're also gonna include a 5-course premium pack. That pack's like 750 bucks. So you get all of that additional savings if you use promo code NEWNINEGOLF. Now, speaking of the golf courses, a really great selling feature of the OptiShot Galaxy is they have their own software called Orion Live. Included in the Orion Live software, you get 4 different driving ranges and you also get 20 golf courses included. So there's no monthly fee, there's no one-time pay to play. And I think that's a really great selling feature. Now, if you're looking at this enclosure and you're thinking, that might be a little bit out of my budget, OptiShot is making more affordable options that isn't necessarily the overhead one. So I'll link those as well if you want something just a little bit more affordable. I'm gonna get into the gameplay in just a second here, but let me show you what's not included in this package. One of the things not included in any of these sim packages is a computer. This is the Lenovo that we had picked up. You really don't need a crazy gaming computer, just something with a dedicated graphics card. I went with a little bit of a higher end Lenovo to kind of just future-proof myself. I do a lot of testing and reviews on this channel, so I just wanted to make sure that I had something compatible with possibly other models, but you could get by with a pretty basic gaming computer. And I know a lot of you guys are gonna ask me, is this compatible with GS Pro? The answer as of right now is no. OptiShot is really proud of their gaming software and they don't want you to have to pay more out of pocket to play golf. So as of right now, no, but who knows what the future holds. With my computer, I did upgrade the keyboard and the mouse. These are both wireless. They're just charging right now. These are from JLab, and JLab is super comparable to like the Logitech my editor uses. He says this is very comparable, but it's like a fraction of the price. So super happy with this keyboard and with the mouse. You can obviously see behind me too, we installed a TV. This is a 55-inch that I'm using as a second monitor. This is great having a second monitor if I wanna show the sports on TV or if I'm playing music. We hooked up a wireless sound bar and we tried to run the cables all the way up through the wall over into the ceiling that hook up to the launch monitor and the projector. As I told you, I'm in my garage. You might be thinking, well, where is your garage door track? Normally that goes right through the middle of a garage. It used to be right here. We had to remove that. So we got rid of the top mount. Now I have a side mounted garage track. That for the part and the installation was about 1,500 bucks. Since we did a full garage reno, we mud and taped all of these walls and we installed these acoustic panels. One big mistake that I made is under these acoustic panels. So these acoustic panels go all the way to my garage door. They help with sound dampening and I think that they look pretty good. Knowing what I know now, I would not have mud and taped or painted that wall. I knew I was gonna put these acoustic panels up here and they're a permanent structure basically. So I basically wasted 600 to 700 bucks in mud, taping, and paint just to hang something over top of it. So if I was to do it again, I wouldn't do that. These acoustic panels to go from basically one side of the garage all the way to the door was about 850 bucks for those acoustic panels. Not only do I think they look pretty good, but they help with the sound dampening. I did more soundproofing up here. These are all acoustic panels that run all the way through the top of the ceiling. I did all this sound dampening for a couple reasons. One is this is a studio. This is where we're gonna be filming a lot more of our videos. We wanted better acoustics in here. Number 2, my 2-year-old's bedroom is right above me. So the fact that I got these panels up there is really helping with the soundproofing. I usually only play in here when she goes to bed. So far she hasn't woken up. So I would say that the soundproofing is working. The flooring that I picked up is like a gym flooring. It's kind of like a speckled look. It's rubber. It's about maybe an inch thick. I picked this up from a local flooring store. To get all of my garage covered cost me about 2,000 bucks, and I was able to install it myself. We just had to do some cuts anywhere the corners or the border isn't flat. Something else I had to install is a heater. This is my new heater, and this is a lot more expensive than I initially thought. If you live somewhere cold like I do, I'm in Calgary, Canada, my garage is gonna get as cold as -30, -40 this year. You need some heat in here. This heater cost about 2 to 3 grand. So this is probably one of the most expensive things I had to put in here just because I can't afford for anything to freeze. I told you it's a studio, so you can see my studio light. We have some cameras set up. This is kind of the messy part so far. It's not fully done. We have a camera mounted on the wall. Starting to get some art up here. If you guys saw, I was at the President's Cup this year, picked that up. I also added 2 more light fixtures on both sides. Initially, I only had 1 bulb in each of those. Picked these guys up for about 100 bucks each. So far, it's made a huge difference. These lights are pretty cool. They hook up to an app on my phone that I can change the colors, and I can do a fully customized plan for whatever I want these lights to look like. And so far, I've been pretty happy with them. And for 100 bucks each, they've been pretty good. Setting up the enclosure and the launch monitor and projector was relatively easy. Everything was shipped to my house, came in a bunch of boxes. 2 of us installed it. So for the enclosure, it took the 2 of us about a half hour. At first I was scared that I didn't have enough room. Luckily, all my measurements were right. So if you are considering getting any of these, just make sure you measure twice, 3 times, because the last thing you want to do, open up one of these enclosures and it not fit in wherever you're putting it. Something that we did have to do, if you want to come around to the back, they just had us with the white backdrop, and we found it was too like see-through, too transparent. So we got another, this is just a black sheet off of Amazon. By the way, I'm gonna put the links up for everything that we purchased. That way, if you guys are building your own home simulator, you can kind of use what we've been using. But this was just an extra black screen that we found on Amazon just so we could totally darken the simulator. And then we basically just zip tied it to the top just to prevent it from obviously moving. And then to get the launch monitor and the projector took a little bit more time. We had to find studs in the ceiling, make sure that we're screwing into the studs. The only thing that took us the longest was probably the projector. It's a short throw projector, meaning it's closer to the screen. Depending on the model you get, you might actually get one that goes behind the launch monitor. This one goes in front. The only problem that we had is initially we installed it too close to the screen. So when we turned it on, it was actually hitting the top of the enclosure. We had to move it back, play around with a couple settings, but now we got it fitting about 98% of the screen. I think it looks pretty good. When we got everything mounted, I was really nervous because it's right above me that I was gonna hit it with my golf swing. And now that we've played it a bunch, my club doesn't come anywhere close to this stuff. This is an 8-iron. You can see my swing arc is nowhere close to that. Same with drivers and woods, doesn't come anywhere close. So there was definitely a break-in period of me getting used to not hitting the projector or the launch monitor, but just know that once you set it up, it's not gonna be anywhere near your golf swing. Once we got everything set up, we got the enclosure build, we got the mat down, we got everything set up. We then had a call with one of the OptiShot engineers. And this is really cool. And I think their customer service has actually been really good. They hop on a call, they get access to your computer, and they make sure that all of the settings on the launch monitor is working properly. They're also able to see where the ball hitting area is. So the call was maybe 20 minutes, maybe a half hour, and I kind of just had to place some balls on the mat. Then I put just like a small little Sharpie mark on my mat just so I knew where the hitting zone was. But from a customer service standpoint, I thought they were super helpful in just getting this set up and then answering any questions that I had. Here's the Orion software. So this is what you see once you open up the software. You can go golfing, there's events and tournaments, my games, your match history. This is me up top. So if you already have the Galaxy software, feel free to add me at NEWNINEGOLF. Let me show you kind of the golf setup. So I'm gonna hit go golfing, and I wanna show you one of the ranges. All the stuff over here that you see, so there's a stroke play closest to the pin, another stroke play. These are all games that people inside the community have built that you can hop in at any time. So I think it's pretty cool that they integrate the community, that you can play with people that you don't know. There's no real interactive, it's not necessarily live that you're talking to people back and forth. Basically, they play the round on their own time, you play your round on your own time, and you kind of just see how you fare against other people inside the community. So before we get into a round of golf, I want to show you the practice areas. So there is a full driving range, dynamic driving range, putting range, and chipping range. I prefer using the dynamic driving range. Let me just show you both. So I'll show you the driving range. We're gonna start our practice session. Not sure what course that is, looks pretty good. Here's the driving range. So a couple things that we can change. First is the targets. So it has us set up right now at a 64-yard shot. So if I wanted to dial in my wedges, I can kind of play around with that. The next preset target is 93 yards, 123, 141, 174, 200, 230, and then finally 300 yards. A couple ways to do it. You can decide to just leave it on 300 and hit your balls wherever you want, or you can pick the targets. I prefer playing around with those targets. So I'm gonna hit a couple balls and I'll show you how accurate I think this is. Before I do that, one more thing to take a look at is the elevation. So there's different elevation that you can set. They have it maxed out at 2,000 feet elevation. And then of course, if you're at sea level, you can go down all the way to 0. Where I live in Calgary, we're actually at 3,000 feet elevation, but I find that even the 2,000 feet elevation here is too much elevation for my ball. So I'm gonna go just to about 1,000. That's only because I've played around on it a lot. So let me hit some wedges and I can kind of show you the accuracy. Now you do have to use one type of ball on this simulator. You have to use a TaylorMade TP5 or TP5X Pix ball. The pictures on the ball are gonna help the launch monitor read the spin of the ball. OptiShot will send you 1 or 2 sleeves. I can't remember how many sleeves they sent us, but they will send you TP5 Pix balls. So that's what I'm using on this test. You will see at the bottom of the screen, there's a golf ball with a red circle around it. Red means that it is not registering. I have to get the ball to where I know my hitting area is, and it will go green. Now that it's green, I'm good to hit. So let's hit a couple small wedges and just test out the accuracy of that little 64-yard shot. So first swing out of the gate, we did hit the target. You can see all my data come up, carry 65. I see my spin, I see my launch angle. If you're an analytical golfer, you like to know those numbers. I find them so far pretty accurate for the most part. I've done a lot of testing on TrackMans. I would say that they're close, they're not exact, but good enough for me just playing in the garage. The launch monitor should give us club data as well. They gave us little stickers that you can put on top of your clubs. I find that they do fall off. This sticker on my pigeon wedge is already broken. So I think once I install one more light and just get better light around the hitting area, I'm thinking I'll get more club data. I do get club data when I'm playing on the course, but so far it's been a little inconsistent, and I'm sure I could just reach out to the customer service and find out the best way to get club data. It's just not something that I've really looked into yet. Now I'm gonna change my target. Let's go somewhere a little further so I can hit more than kind of just half lob wedges. Let's go to 174. Let's say my natural shot shape is a draw, so far in that first hit, that's pretty accurate to how I hit it. Let's hit a couple more. That one looks better. It's got enough. Hey, there we go. So this is just driving range option number 1. Let me show you dynamic driving range, and that's actually my favorite one. I like the dynamic driving range because this is like practicing on a course. It's like we have 3 holes to choose from. We can pick any yardage that we want, and we can hit 2 real life scenarios. So there's a couple different ones I can choose here. You can see my cursor highlight different yardages. It's giving you 88 to 250 yards. That means I can practice as short as 88 yards or as far back as 251. I really like this one. 36 yards to 189. I'm gonna pick this 96 yarder. This is, if you can see the legend on the right, is like a super tucked pin. It's at the back, surrounded by water. This is kind of like one of those realistic shots to put a little pressure on yourself. And let me show you what it looks like when the ball starts to fly into this pin location. Get in the hole one time. So I find like the visual aesthetic of this range is just a lot cooler to see, kind of like this ocean course or some palm trees in the background. To me, it's just a lot more appealing than just looking at kind of like a normal driving range that you see at any practice facility. This I find just looks really cool. Since we hit the green already, let's move the target back. So I can change my target. I click change target. I'm gonna go, let's go to a totally different one. How about something 190 over water? I think it's just so cool that it gives you so much variety and options in your practicing. You could spend hours in here just getting better at your game. Okay, let's see if I can hit the green from 191 over water. That felt a little chunky. Did we get it? Oh, we got there. Good thing we clubbed up. Now that the game feels decent, let me show you some real course stuff. One thing I will point out for all of you analytical nerds is it keeps your last shot data up here. So my previous ball speed was 118. I was hitting a 6-iron, shows my launch angle, my spin. So if you're really trying to work on your game and work on, say, bringing your spin down or getting your launch up, there is all of that data that it'll reference. So I do quite enjoy that. Let's go back to the lobby and let's set up a game here. Now, before you even get into the Orion software, you got to build your own profile. You go through your bag and you say, I have a driver, a 3-wood, a 5-wood. This is how far my 7-iron goes. This is the elevation I want to play. These are the tees that I normally play. It's going to save all of that as kind of like a preset for you. To build the game, I got to give it a title. Let's just call it test. Up here, I'm going to make this a private round. So remember before where there's all those public rounds? I don't want anyone hopping into this game. I'm just doing it to show you guys. Now that I've titled it, I'm going to pick the game mode. So here's all the game modes you can play. You can play match play, stroke play, and closest to the pin. For this, I'm going to play stroke play. It will actually set an end date for your game. So if you want to play 9 holes tonight and finish tomorrow, eventually it's going to delete your round. You can pick how far out you want it to delete your round. Restrictive hardware is just going to allow anyone that has maybe different OptiShot software can still join this round. The course I'm going to choose, now this is a lot of fun. So I have a few more courses than what is standard, only because OptiShot gave me one of their course packages. But one course you do get included, I believe, is Monterey Classic, which is Pebble Beach. So I'll play Pebble Beach for this test. I'm going to change my elevation back to 1,000 feet. I can play around with mulligans if I want. If I do want mulligans, I have to turn the handicap off. OptiShot gives you a handicap. When you start, I think you start at like a 40 handicap. The more you play, it actually starts to come down or up, depending on what type of golfer that you are. Right now, I think my handicap is like a 1 or maybe a negative 1.8. I'm not sure if that's plus or negative. I've been playing pretty decent. If you want mulligans on, you got to turn handicap off, and then I can slide however many mulligans I want. I can change how many players I want. So you can go all the way up to 10, and that's for those online public rounds. If you're at home having 4 people, obviously you just set it to 4. Something I'll point out at the top is these coins. So there's some game types that you can wager coins. If you win more coins, you can use those coins to buy courses. Let me show you the one thing that I don't like. Let's say you're over at my house and you're playing on my simulator for the first time. I have to add a local player. It's going to bring up this barcode. You have to pull out your cell phone, scan the barcode, and then you have to create your own profile. This step takes 5 to 10 minutes. It's a little tedious. I find it annoying just because I wish I could just add a player and let's get going. The one thing that I do like though is that it builds your own profile. So it's going to keep your handicap. It's going to keep your previous club data, your round data. So the next time you come over, you scan this barcode, you hit play. Seamless. The first time, it takes a bit of time, and that's really the only complaint that I've had from my friends that have played. They're like, man, I wish we could just start. I'm like, I know, I'm sorry, you have to set up your profile, okay? But since it's just us, we're gonna start playing. So here we are at Pebble Beach. This is the first hole. This is something that I love, is it does a little hole flyover to show you what this hole looks like before you can play it. That way you can kind of strategize how you want to play this hole. I've played this course a ton. I know I want to cut it over these trees. So you can see on the screen, I'll get my cursor, this is my straight shot. If I hit it towards this circle, this is my straight shot. Let's say you always hit it to the right. Couple ways you can do this. You can hit the ball over here to the right and it will take off right. You can also move just using the arrows on your keyboard if you want to start it a little right or you want to start it a little further left, knowing that the ball's going to come back. I have personally found more accuracy in doing the keyboard function that I'm going to aim it and then just play for a straight ball. Personally, that's what I've found to be more accurate. Another thing you can see on the legend on the right, you can see that white line. That's where I'm aiming. Okay. So if I want it to be aimed right at the green, right there is about right at the green. This is OB left, and this looks, I can't remember what's over here. Obviously, hotels on the Monterey Peninsula. Don't want to hit any of those. I'm going to try to be a good golfer here, go over these trees, and we'll see what type of shot my drive gives me. Included in the OptiShot Galaxy pack, they gave us some tees. They actually only gave us the black tees. I reached out to the company because I like them so much. They're called Burr tees. Mario hooked us up with a couple extra packs. There's different sizes for tees. If you like the really long tee, like a short tee, they even give you an iron tee, so it's just barely off the ground. I do really like using these. I've tried putting a tee into the mat that they give you. It doesn't go far enough to use, in my opinion. You'd have to get some shorter tees. I just really prefer these. I like the blue ones better just because I can see them easier. But let's give this drive a hit and let's try to do something decent on the first hole at Pebble Beach. Oh, he kind of overcooked it. That's a pretty good line. Narrow fairway, man. So you can see, carry 289, total distance 312, ideal spin at 2,300 yards, and we have 69 yards coming in. The one thing I have noticed in playing this game is that wedges specifically don't spin as much as they might spin in real life. I find everything, like high wedge shots, half wedge shots, they all will land short and roll. So 69 yards, the pin's at the back. I think ideally I want to play it short of the pin, knowing that it's going to release, so I'll play it. Let's try 60 yards. Too much, sit. So that actually spun decent there. I'm just gonna put my foot in my mouth. In shots previously, I find everything, like nothing's gonna suck back 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 feet. So that was actually pretty decent. Now I have a birdie putt. If you're playing a handicap round or you play any of those rounds online, the auto gimme is 10 feet. I find that to be pretty fair. So you just gotta get it inside that 10-foot circle. Personally, on other simulators I've used, I've always hated the putting. I've always hated the chipping. I just found it to be the least realistic of any aspect of the golf game. I actually really enjoy chipping and putting on this simulator. I don't want to putt on my simulator anyway, so I'm pretty happy with those 10-foot gimmies. The way I'm reading these greens is you can see a grid. Red is extreme or fast. So the putt is breaking from right to left and it's downhill. So if I'm gonna aim, I can look at the pin and I can kind of aim in this area, or I can use my keyboard and aim that way. Let me show you. If I wanted to just hit it straight at the screen, I can kind of go where I think it's breaking, hit it straight, or I can leave it square on and putt right of that hole. Because I don't really care about putting in this game, I'm just gonna putt it to the right side and hope we, get close to a birdie, if not just get a tap in par. Oh, just missed it. We got our par. So super happy with that putting. I hate simulators where you think you hit it 5 feet, it goes 25 feet, or vice versa. You think you hit it 25 feet, but it only goes 5 feet. So far in the rounds that I've played, I'm not in a constant battle with the short game. I do find it to be pretty realistic. I've had a ton of fun having this unit in my house so far, and a lot of the people that have come to play it are also having a lot of fun. I can probably play a round of golf by myself in my garage with some music on in probably 40-ish minutes, maybe a half hour. So I find it doesn't take too long. You get in the zone and you're, hitting and just changing clubs. I do really enjoy the software. The only two things that I don't like, one would be the guest player setup, just that it takes a while for my friends to get into the game. That I find a little annoying. The second thing is the GS Pro compatibility. I know a lot of my friends that have other brand simulators play on GS Pro. Those are really the only two things. Thank you so much for watching this video. We'll check in with you guys next time.